Hi, Fico here. Welcome to another episode of our series for building a regulated asset with smart contracts. In this episode, we're going to cover the scripts that we have in the project to help you interacting with the contract and play around with the different functionalities right from the command line. So let's get into it. Alright, to start off, let me just go ahead. This is my project, and you notice that besides the contracts folders, you have also a scripts folders. In these script folders, you have a bunch of shell scripts that help you interact with this contract. Here you have three main ones: config, init, and run, and they make use of other scripts within the helpers folder, but you don't have to interact with those. You just care about these three. I recommend you have a look at the README file, because there we explain how to use those in detail. Also, you have a data folder where we store temporary data to facilitate calling these functions without having to copy and paste the IDs, and you can also then go back and reuse this data. So here we store the contract ID for the asset controller and for the regulated asset once they're deployed on chain. So let's get into it. The first thing is you should look to the into the config file and make sure you have the right parameters for what you wanna experiment. By default, we are going to leave it pre-filled with some information, and you can just change if you want to play around with different parameters. So on the top, we have the network we're connecting to, and here we're using FeatureNet right now, but it's very likely that we are going to shift to the testnet very soon. We also have here an admin account, the public key and the secret key. This is just a plain account generated by Stellar Laboratory and funded with some lumens, so we can play around. Here we have some asset controller parameters, so the folder where we can get the WASM file, the compiled version of the contract. So if you have compiled your project already, it will get directly through the asset controller folder. You have some other information. Here we're using the admin to deploy the asset controller contract. If you want to use a separate account, you can just change it here. We have the file where we are outputting Here we have the file in which we're outputting the ID of the contract and some other info like the admin, the public key and secret key and so far. Down below here we have the parameters for initializing the contract. So what is the outflow limit and the inflow limit? And here you have to bear in mind the decimal places that you're using for your asset. So as our asset here has 7 decimal places, we have to add 7 zeros by the end to have the full value that we're using. So for 10,000 units, that's the value I should be using. And the same for inflow limit. So by default, we're using 10,000 units for the outflow and 7,000 units for the inflow. Then we have the limit, the quota time limit and the probation period. Both are in seconds. So here we're setting 10 minutes for the quota time limit and 1 day for the probation period of an account. Then, if you move down below, you see the regulated asset parameters. So we also have the deploy parameters. We have some administration parameters and the metadata. So the decimal places for the asset, the name of the asset, FIFO coin, and the symbol, FIFO in this case, and then some user accounts so you can play around. And each one of these accounts is identified by a letter. So we have account A, account B, and account C. That's how you're going to use these accounts with the scripts. So, all right, we have everything parameterized. So let's just go ahead and invoke these contracts. To start off, we need to deploy the contracts. So to deploy the contracts, we're going to use the init shell script, and the init shell script basically deploy both contracts and initialize both contracts with the parameters we have set. So to do that, I'll start the terminal here and open a git bash. There you go. And let me move to the script folder. All right, I'm in the script folder, and here I'll run the init.sh. And here I have 3 options to run this one. If I just click it, if I just run as init, I'll see the help that says that I can run as all, asset, or controller. If I use it as asset or controller, I'm just deploying one of these contracts individually. But if I want to deploy both contracts and initialize everything, I use the init all. So let me go ahead and say init all, and there we go. We'll begin by deploying the asset contract. Then we are going to deploy the first is the asset controller contract. Then we'll deploy the regulated asset contract. After we deployed both contracts and we have the ID for both contracts, then we finally go to initialize these contracts because we need to provide the ID of the other contract to have the cross-reference. So I deployed already both contracts, I initialized the first, now I'm initializing the second one. Here we can see the parameters for the invocation and the arguments that are being passed. And there you go, both contracts were deployed and initialized. I can see in the data folder that their IDs were updated, so these are the IDs in the FutureNet to access these contracts that I just deployed. Awesome, now I'll just go ahead and start interacting with those. For this I have the run shell script, and this shell script has a bunch more options that I can use. So let me go ahead and type in run, and I'll just provide the argument H for help. And here are all of the commands and combinations that I can use with this shell script. So I can use get to retrieve data from contracts, and I just need to inform which contract I'm calling, if it's the AC or the RA, AC for asset controller and RA for regulated asset. And for each one of those, I have different commands that I can get. So for example, if I want to get the inflow limit from the asset controller, I'll type in get AC inflow. So let me go ahead and do that just to make sure it was properly initialized, and I'll say get AC inflow. There you go, I'm invoking the get inflow limit function from the contract, and I just got it. It's 7,000 units plus the decimal places as an inflow quota. Awesome, so I can use this to get any information from the contracts. What else can I do? I can use the other functions that I have in here to interact with this contract. So I can select an actor and which commands I want this actor to execute. And the actors are the admin account, user A, user B, and user C. So I can either select admin and do one of these ones, like mint, authorize an account, or unauthorize an account to freeze and unfreeze an account. Or I can use user A, B, or C to transfer money to another user. So since I don't have any units in these user accounts, I'll start by minting some units to user A. So I'll go ahead and use run.sh. The actor I'm using is the admin. I'm invoking the mint function. I am minting, let me just double check. I have to mint to a user an amount. So I'll select user A, and the amount I mint is 10,000 plus the decimal places. There you go. I'll invoke that. Now it's being invoked from the admin itself. He is invoking the contract, the mint functionality, and it's going to send the units for the user. There you go. I should be able to see the balance for this user A. So let me see. To check the balance, I gotta use get regulated asset. Where is it? There you go. There, regulated asset, balance, and the user. So I'll do run get RA balance and A for the user A. So I'm invoking the regulated asset contract, the function balance, to get the balance of user A. And there you go, he has 10,000 units already. So I can start transacting. But before I do that, let me check what is the quota. Does this user has some quota allocated already? How do I get the quota? I invoke get AC quota amount user. So let me do that. Get AC quota amount, because I want to see the amount of the quota, then user. There you go. I'm invoking the get quota for this user A, and I should receive, and there you go. But wait, why do I got 0 if the user has money already? That's, if you remember, the mint functionality does not trigger the asset controller, so we didn't allocate any quota. So let's start by transacting from user A to user B. How do I do that? I can invoke the actor A with a transfer to actor B, to user B, and the amount. So I'll go ahead and do run.sh A transfer B and the amount. The amount, let's say I will send 500, and the units for the decimal places. I'm sending 500 to user B. Let's wait this execution to go through. And once it goes through, I should see the outflow of the user A being allocated and the inflow of user B. So let me go ahead and check again the quota for user A. And we should see 500 allocated, and there you go, it's allocated as outflow. Now, if I select the user B instead of user A, I should see the 500 allocated in the inflow side. And there you go, it's allocated in the inflow side. Now, what else can I do? I can also check what is the probation period left for this user. So I can go ahead and do a get for the asset controller and check the probation for the user. So let me go ahead and check that. Get AC probation for user A. And we should see how many seconds are left, counting from the moment he did the first transaction. And the first transaction was when he sent money to user B, and you can see some period has passed already. The original value was, let me see, in the initialized, where is it? There you go. This is the original value, 84000, and that's how much has passed already. All right, so there you go. That's how you interact with the contract. You can use any of the parameters that we have here to invoke the different functionalities, the different functions of the contract. So you can get the admin, the asset, the inflow, the outflow, the probation parameters of the contract. You can get the probation for the specific user. You can get the quota that is specified in the project, as well as the quota amount for a user specifically, and the quota release, when this quota is getting released for the user. You can get the information from the regulated asset, such as the name, the symbol, the decimals, if an account is authorized, what is the balance, if it has a spendable balance set, what is the allowance, and so on. And you can do actions from the actors. So you can do things from the admin perspective or any of the three users. So you can mint, authorize, unauthorized accounts to freeze, and you can do transfers between users. And this will let you see, this allow you to see the quota being allocated and delocated, and the transactions failing when the quota is already spent. So I hope you liked, and please go ahead, play around with the scripts, play around with the contract, break it, provide some feedback, and I see you in the next episodes. Bye.